I couldn't let March pass us by without paying tribute to Women's History Month. And this episode is one that I have to do two parts. One is looking at the influential people, and I'm using air quotes for that, right? And looking at them for what they have done to really help shape our lives. The other part is looking inward to my own family and the women who have sacrificed so much in order for me to be able to do what I do. So come with me as we take a deep dive into the wisdom of remarkable women who have paved the way for us.
You are listening to That Big CEO Energy, where we talk all things business, life, marriage, and push you to a new edge of discovering what that big CEO energy means for you. Listen, I understand that we have barriers that we carry from when we were once employees, and those have impacted us as we continue to build our businesses. I'm here to walk alongside you and give you encouragement through interviews with friends and other women in business who have broken down those barriers and paved their own way. Tune in with me as we uncover some of the unconscious things that we do that keep us from building that big CEO energy we've always dreamed about. Let's dive in.
From historical figures to modern day trailblazers, all of these stories resonate with timeless lessons that really can shape how we lead our businesses, our lives, and nurture the next generation. So I want to start by acknowledging the strength and resilience of women throughout history. Take Eleanor Roosevelt, for example. She once famously said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." And I just can't help but think that it's a powerful reminder that our worth isn't determined by other people. It comes from within. It comes from the relationship that you have with yourself. And in our daily lives, we can embody this by standing tall in our convictions and really refusing to let doubt or criticism dim our light. It's really hard to do that when we are showing up on social media and we are seeing tons of things that crowd our feed that start to creep in and start to make us wonder, are we doing this right? Are we showing up the way that we're supposed to be showing up? When really the question is, are we showing up in a way that makes us feel good and that gives us the determination? And this "no one can make you feel inferior without your consent" just means that nobody really can show up in your space and give you fear and tell you that you're doing things wrong because they only see a small snippet of your life. So what I want us to remember is that in our daily life, when we are out in social media, when we are showing up in spaces for just a moment in time, even with those in our family, they are not allowed to make you feel inferior, because they only see a small part of who you are. And when you refuse to let criticism, doubt, dim your light, there is an opportunity for you to just straighten your crown. And despite facing adversity, Malala has a wonderful quote. She was one that boldly advocated for girls' education in Pakistan. And so she did this even after surviving a Taliban assassination attempt. And her courage really teaches us that no challenge is too great. And when it's fueled by a passion for justice and equality, in our businesses and personal endeavors, we can really emulate what her bravery was speaking up for. And that is for what we believe in, even when it's unpopular and even when it's risky, right? I think about showing up online and showing up in other spaces and even sitting to record this podcast. Some people might not like it, and I might not be the popular one. And I'm okay with that. But my purpose here is to share my heart, to share what I know to be true, and have the hope that it resonates with someone, that it gives them courage, and that they're able to see the forest through the trees when it's super, super hard, whether that be in business, whether that be in your life. And so if you've ever read anything about Malala Yousafzai, please understand that she is a trailblazer and was a trailblazer. And even in the face of adversity, she went right in. And she had this super deep passion for justice and equality. And I think when you're fighting so hard for those two very specific things, you can become weary. And if you are in this space where that is your lifeblood and maybe that is your business model, I'm just going to give you some encouragement to not give up, because we need you. We need you speaking up for what you believe in. Everybody should be speaking up for what they believe in. So please remember that. And I can't let this episode not be an episode of Women's History Month without including Maya Angelou. Her poetry and her activism really continues to inspire me, even though she has left this world. But she reminded us that you may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. Those words resonate with me so deeply. As a matter of fact, I have them in a little sticky note that's on my computer. Because when I'm feeling defeated, when I'm feeling like I just can't give another ounce, this quote from her urges me to persevere in the face of setbacks, in the face of adversity, in my daily life, in the sense that we can and we are allowed to cultivate resilience by embracing failures as opportunities for growth. And when we refuse to be defined by our struggles, that is where we find strength in our vulnerability. And I just love how gracious she is, but also doesn't take no for an answer. Didn't let herself be defeated, right? And Mother Teresa obviously is another one that was a trailblazer. She dedicated her life to serving the marginalized and impoverished. She embodied the belief that it's not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. And so sometimes that's the other thing, right? If you are in a church environment, a corporate church environment, it's hard sometimes because you want to be giving maybe your time and your money, and sometimes you don't have that, but it's from the heart in which we serve. And I know that a lot of us, at least in my space that I serve, try and do things out in the community, really try to show up for those that we love on. And I would say that when you are a mom, when you are in the service-based business industry, it is really easy to get lost in the sense that we think that we should be just giving it all the time. And what happens is giving is still giving. But when we do it from a source of selfishness, when we do it from a source of resentment because it's not something that we didn't want to do, but we're doing it because we feel obligated, that's not serving anyone, and it's not serving who you truly are. So I'm going to say that quote again. It's not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. And it teaches us that true leadership is rooted in empathy and selfishness. But you can only have that when you're coming from a loving and serving heart that is not filled with resentment because it's a have to and not a because we're passionate for it. It's in our interactions with others, both personally and professionally, that we can practice this empathy by listening with an open heart and extending a helping hand to those in need when we feel called to do that, and fostering genuine connections built on mutual respect and understanding. When we don't have mutual respect and understanding, sometimes it's hard as a woman to not feel that obligation. So are you respecting yourself? So as we navigate into the complexities of modern day leadership, I want us to just turn our eye to Oprah Winfrey. And I know that she has a lot of controversy, but she really has an incredible story. And she really comes from humble beginnings. She rose to become one of the most influential women in the world. She reshaped media and culture with her authenticity. And she reminds us that success is not measured by external accolades, but by living the lives that we touch and the positive change that we create. In our businesses and our professional lives, we can follow her example really by leading with authenticity. Embracing our unique strengths and vulnerabilities and empowering others to do the same is really the mark of what Oprah was all about. And even though, right, she has left the media world in a sense of her talk show and all that things, she still is influential in giving others a space and a platform to share their story. And I think that is powerful, that she welcomes other individuals to come and share the space, and she lifts them up. I want to now talk about just my own family and the women in it. And many of you know that my family is interesting. We're going to use that word. But my mom and my Oma are two of the most loving individuals. And my Oma is my grandma. I have called her Oma since the day I was born. She's German. So there's the answer for that. But she is really a pillar of strength and resilience in my own family's history. And I'm just going to give you a brief story here. She was married and had trouble conceiving. And so they adopted my mother. And 8 years later, she had twin girls. And she had been married to a man that was super abusive. And she ended up leaving that marriage and marrying the grandfather that I know. And she continued to try to conceive with him and had a miscarriage. In the midst of all of that, I'm going to get a little emotional. I'm sorry. In the midst of all of that, the twin girls, their names are Amy and Lori. Lori had... Lori had gone in for a routine procedure to remove her tonsils at the age of 4. And of course, this is years ago, right? And she was allergic to the anesthetic. And then when they brought her home, she went to take a nap and never woke up. So this has been something that my Oma has carried with her. And to have to live daily with that, I couldn't even imagine. On top of all of that, my Oma worked at a place called Michigan Bell. Actually, it's AT&T now, but it started as Michigan Bell. And when she worked there, she was working in the call room. So it was very loud. And that's actually where she met my grandpa. And she actually lost her hearing, about 90% of her hearing. And so for much of my life, she actually was legally deaf. She had hearing aids. And I remember not being able to, the only music that she could really hear is Yanni. If you know who that is, you will know that he is instrumental and there's no words to it. So she would be able to hear that, and she got really good at lip reading. And so we in our family have just elevated the way in which we speak so that she can hear and see our lips moving. And it's been quite a few years now, but she decided to get cochlear implants. And just a few years ago, she got a cochlear implant in her other ear as well. So she has double cochlear implants. But I'm telling you this story because for me, resilience, being able to navigate these life challenges with unwavering determination, and knowing that there are no bounds. And she really gave me my love for horses. She has had horses her whole entire life. The other beautiful part about her is she loves photography, loves taking pictures of flowers and horses, and she taught me how to ride. And she really, her and my grandfather both, but her really became my home. And so I'm just really super thankful for her, and just that she lives her life out loud and tells the stories and doesn't shy away from them. And then there's my mom, who I have talked a little bit about, and she was born into the boomer generation. So that comes with its own adversity. And one thing that I will say about my mom is she truly embodies the essence of perseverance and possibility. She, and I've told this story before, but she started her own daycare, and she did daycare for the bulk of my life. And so she really instilled the entrepreneurial spirit that I have, and she really taught me the value of self-belief and hard work. And when she decided to move forward and start the entrepreneurial journey, I really saw her focus on rising out of poverty and getting out of the system. And she instilled that into me because we know my story. And if you don't, there are plenty of episodes for you to go and listen to that. But she really built a legacy of resilience for me as well. And she provided for her family while she continued to do night school. I remember when she worked in daycare, when she had the daycare, she would go to night school, and she would also clean real estate offices at night when she wasn't going to school. And her story really is a testament to the transformative power of courage and determination. And she really has shown me that no dream is too big. I will just share this short story of when I was growing up. I was into horses. I was in 4-H. I did all the things. My mom had me in all the stuff. Played sports, did the Midland High equestrian team. And so my mom during that time was doing daycare. And so my mom has never missed a play. She's never missed a rehearsal. She's never missed I wouldn't say never missed a 4-H meeting, because my Oma also took me to 4-H meetings sometimes, but she never missed a 4-H meeting. She never missed a horse show. She was the equestrian team coach for my high school. When I was doing grade school, she sewed, it's incredible that I even remember this. She sewed bags, like you have the school chair, right? And I know we're getting a little off topic, so roll with me here. she had the school chair, and she came up with this concept of making this bag that hangs on the back of the chair that the kids could put their school books in. Wild, I know, because at the time, back then, we didn't have those desks that have that little tray on the bottom where you can put stuff in. She made all of those for the entire school. Now, bear in mind, I went to a parochial school, and at a parochial school, there's not a ton of kids, but there are enough that's a lot. And she made them out of this like heavy duty material, and she just did all the things, and she was present. And I needed something for my horse. She would spend her very last dollar. And when I was a single mom, I remember having my daughter, and I'm going to back up a little bit, but I remember coming home, and my brother had already ruined the fact that both of her kids were going to have babies when they're still babies. My brother had his first child when I think he had just turned 19 when my nephew was born. So he came home and ruined that, and she was already mad and got the mad part done. So when I am 19 and I show up to her and say, hi, hello, pregnant, she was like, okay. But at that time too, I will say, I was working and I had a plan. I came to her with a plan, and I said, I understand that I'm pregnant. I have to take responsibility for this. This is our plan. And I continue to work, and I've worked every day since like age 14. Which, mind you, my very first job was also working with my mother. Yeah, you heard that right. At one point, it was me, my brother, and my mom working at the same place. But anyways, so when I came to her and said, I did a thing, and now I'm going to own it, and I had my daughter when I was 20, my mom always had a plan of, you can live at home, and you can take advantage of not having rent as long as you are either going to school or you are working full-time. Either one. And when she got a divorce from my stepdad when I was 17 years old, I still lived at home, and it was just her and I. We had moved out. We had moved into a trailer park. We had made the home as best as we could. And I graduated high school, and I decided that I was going to move out. And so when I moved out, it was a wild time. And I actually was really unkind to my mom. So cut to the fact that I had mended my relationship with her. I had let her know when I was 19 years old that I was pregnant. That was in June-ish, June or July. And I had my daughter when I was 20 that following March. And so during that time of being a single mom, I had worked 3 jobs, and then there was about when Daniela was 5, when she started going to kindergarten. That is when I decided to get my ish together and go back to school. And I will tell you that my mom never wavered on taking Daniela for the night, taking her when I had to go to school, taking her when I had to work whatever job I had to work. She always made herself available. On top of that, anytime I needed help with money, bills, food, anything, she made a way. She didn't care if it was her last $50 or last $20. She gave it all. And I can only hope that I do a sliver of what my mother has done for me for my daughter. Her story alone would knock you to your knees. I'm not going to share that because that is not my story to tell, and I don't have permission to share that. But I will just share with you that even when she has been diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment on the dementia spectrum, she still shows up for her family. She has taken a liking to therapy, and she has made a commitment to herself and to God. She shows up every Sunday to Bible study with me. She loves to be helpful, loves to be in my space. And she is a woman that has a testament to transformative power of courage, determination. And she really, truly has supported me so much. Even the point of learning how to do things in my business. And wanting to learn in case I need help. And her power of showing that no challenge is too daunting to overcome has been the most amazing experience. And I'm so incredibly proud of her for just walking her path and showing me how to live a big life and how to live in a way that serves others. So, as I reflect on this journey that these influential women have put out for us, and my own family that has put out for me, I can only hope that I leave the same thing for my daughter. And I am so inspired by these women who came before us. My story is just one small slice of embracing possibility and challenging the status quo, from pursuing my passion to build a business and be open and honest and raw to encourage you to do the same. I really still strive to embody the values of resilience, empathy, authenticity that have been instilled in me by my Oma, my mother, and like them, right? I really truly aspire to be a guiding light for not just my daughter, but all the women out there, to nurture your dreams and empower you all to believe in yourself. And one thing that I would love for my daughter to know is I want her to know that she is capable of achieving anything, and so are you. And that your voice and her voice has the power to change the world. We always call it our little corner of the internet. And while it's the little corner of the internet, you are changing lives. So in my journey, as a mother, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, I'm really committed to fostering a legacy of empowerment and inclusivity where women feel seen, heard, and valued. So as we honor these women who shape our legacy, I want you to reflect on the women in your own life. And maybe you don't have women that are women that you can look up to in your family. But I do know that you have lessons that you have learned out of those individuals. And that's also important because they have passed information to you still. They have, in some way, whether it is negative or positive, have encouraged you to do different, to be better, and to empower yourself for future generations. Whether it's through our actions, our words, or our stories, we have the power to create a ripple effect of positive change that extends far beyond our lifetime. If you have daughters, if you have sons, if you have friends, if you have peers, whoever it is, when you really dial it down and when you think about it, none of these women in history had it on their mind that's what they were going to do. They just got super, super passionate about something and they just started living, and they started living boldly and out loud. And part of this podcast, it says it right in the title, that big CEO energy. The big energy. How are you taking up big CEO energy in your life? And how are you honoring the remarkable women who came before us in order to propel, in order to move your little corner of life forward? Everything that you do is a legacy. Everything. And so how are you leaving your legacy?
Thanks for tuning in to the show today. If you heard something that helped you, I would love it if you would leave a review and share it with your friends. This helps more people just like you become inspired to move the needle of their big CEO energy into a positive direction. If you would like to learn more about how I can help you streamline and position your business for growth or lead your business as a CEO, feel free to jump into the show notes with all of the links to find me. And don't forget to head over to Instagram so we can be pals.